You're about to witness something no one else has dared to speak of, something buried beneath layers of silence so thick it feels like a grave. I don't say this lightly. What you're about to see isn't just another news clip, a viral moment, or a glitch in the system. It's a breach, a fracture in the world we all thought was real, and you are the only one standing at the edge of it, the only one who can hear what was never meant to be heard. If you keep watching, if you let the next minutes wash over you, your perception will shift. You will know the question no one dared to ask, the truth that lurks just beyond sight. It all began with a boy. No, not just any boy. A homeless black boy whose voice cracked the silence of a cold New York morning like a shattering glass. His eyes were too old for his face, too sharp, too knowing. And then he shouted it, clear and urgent. The kind of desperate warning that slices through the noise of the city like a knife. Don't eat that. The words hung in the icy air, strange and misplaced, as if he was stopping not just a person, but an unfolding disaster no one could see yet. Across the street, in the glass towers that gleamed with the wealth and power of the billionaires who run this city, a man froze. Not because of the cold, but because the boy's words stirred something buried deep, something impossible. His lips parted, but no sound came out. His eyes widened in disbelief. He was a man who controlled millions, who owned fortunes, yet none of his power could shield him from what was coming. You might think you know what happened next. Maybe you believe it's a story about poverty, or some viral moment of street drama. But no, this is a story about what we never see, what we ignore because it's too terrifying to face. It's about the invisible threads that tie us all together, rich and poor, past and present, known and unknowable. And it starts with a single question that no one has dared to ask before. Look closely now. In the background, just beyond the boy's shouted warning, something shifts, a flicker in the corner of the frame, barely noticeable. A man standing on the edge of the crowd blinks, and then he's gone. Just like that. No one else seems to register it. But you, watching this unfold in real time or in a looped clip, feel it in your bones. The fabric of reality has been torn, and what fell through the tear is a secret older than memory itself. The boy's words echo louder now, though the city around him moves like a dream. Don't eat that. What did he mean? What was in that cold meal someone had discarded? Was it just food or something far darker? Something designed to consume not just the body, but the very soul. And why did the billionaire freeze? What? Did he know that the rest of us are blind to? It's almost too much to bear, the weight of it pressing against your chest, your mind racing through possibilities you never thought to imagine. But beneath the shock and the fear, a strange familiarity seeps in, as if you've heard this warning before, whispered in some forgotten dream or buried memory. Then, a voice. Not loud, but a whisper slipping through the static of a forgotten phone call recorded on a battered smartphone found days later in an abandoned apartment. The voice is old, raspy but unmistakable. Her name is Amara. No one knows who Amara is, no one except those who vanished with the secrets they carried. And here's the cruelest twist. The voice comes from someone who should have been dead for decades. Someone you thought was just a story told in hushed tones, a ghost lost in time. You lean in closer, heart pounding, caught between disbelief and the horrifying urge to know more. Because now, everything you thought was safe and certain is unraveling. The boy's warning, the billionaire's frozen terror, the vanished man, the whisper from the past. They are pieces of a puzzle that no one wanted to solve. But you have no choice now. You've opened the file, pulled the thread, and there is no turning back. And just as the city's noise swells again, drowning out the strange silence, you realize the one thing no one told you. This is only the beginning, because right now, someone, or something, is watching, waiting, and it knows you're listening. The air thickened suddenly, the raw truth you just swallowed curdling into something darker, harder to grasp. That moment, the cliffhanger, was supposed to shatter your certainty, and it did. But now, right here, it begins to slip away, dissolving into a haze of doubt and whispered denials, as if the whole thing never happened, or worse, was never meant to happen at all. You start to wonder, did you really see the boy scream? Did the billionaire actually freeze in place like some statue carved out of fear? Or is this just a crack in your mind's fragile surface, a trick conjured by exhaustion, grief, or something? Far less human, because right after the silence swallowed the city again, your mind falters. The video, the footage you swore you saw, glitches, stutters. The boy's voice warbles like a scratched record, distorted just enough to plant a seed of uncertainty. It feels like a message buried in static, but no matter how you rewind, slow, down or adjust the volume, the clarity slips away like smoke. There's a missing frame where the man should vanish, a glitch so seamless it almost feels intentional. Something's off, as if the entire event is a fractured memory, or worse, an implanted one. And then, the memories start to unravel. Small. Details that should be obvious, like the sound of distant sirens or the scuff of shoes on concrete, are suddenly erased. Places you thought you knew become unfamiliar. The faces blur or change when you blink, as if your mind is rewriting the script or protecting you from something unbearable. The boundaries between what's real and what's imagined begin to collapse. Your own perception becomes a suspect. Into this growing storm steps another voice, soft, coaxing, but unreliable. Her name is Evelyn, a woman you met by accident or fate in the shadowed streets of Brooklyn. She claims to have seen the same boy, the same frozen billionaire, but her version twists into something unrecognizable, laced with paranoia and cryptic warnings. "You can't trust what you saw," she murmurs, eyes darting nervously as if hunted. They're watching through your mind. They rewrite everything, your memories, your fears. You don't even know what's yours anymore. Evelyn's presence unsettles you more than the mysterious events ever could. Her stories flicker between clarity and delirium, tangled with half-remembered names and places that don't exist. She carries scars you can't see, but sense in the tremor of her voice, the way she jumps at shadows. Yet beneath the fractured surface, her fear feels real, raw, and somehow familiar, like a thread pulling at your own buried trauma. Her warnings tap into something primal, the dread that there's a deeper truth behind what no one tells you, a truth so heavy it's easier to drown in confusion than to face it. You wonder if Evelyn is a savior or a saboteur, a mirror of your own unraveling sanity, or a messenger from some unseen force. Together you dig through scraps of hidden recordings, fragments of conversations erased from public records, and pieces of whispered folklore woven into the city's fabric. Each discovery twists the knife deeper, things they don't want you to remember, things erased from history and locked away in silence. The line between mental breakdown and supernatural interference blurs until you can no longer tell if the terror is outside you or inside your own fractured mind. You start questioning everything, the memories you clutch, the people you trust, the reality you thought was solid. Is this a real unsolved mystery, or just the echo of a mind tearing itself apart? And as the city hums with its indifferent pulse, you realize the most terrifying question isn't what happened that morning. It's what's still happening to you, in the silence after the scream. Because the truth, the real truth, lurks somewhere just beyond your grasp, in the shadows where they don't want you looking, and in the silence where no one dares to ask what you've just begun to understand. For a moment, just a fleeting, fragile moment, it felt like the fog was lifting. Like the tangled threads of confusion and dread were unraveling to reveal a hidden truth, long buried beneath layers of noise and forgetfulness. You and Evelyn had followed a trail, a whisper in the dark, leading you to an old archive tucked away in the city's underbelly, a place where forgotten stories and erased histories festered quietly, untouched. It was here, among yellowed papers and crackling tapes, that you stumbled upon something that felt like a key, a piece of the puzzle that suddenly made sense of the boy's desperate warning and the billionaire's frozen terror. The recordings were grainy, distorted, but undeniable. A voice you recognized, familiar yet distant, warning a frightened child not to eat something, a meal served with a smile that didn't reach the eyes. The date on the file was decades old, older than you expected, but it mirrored the same chilling warning shouted in the streets that morning. It was as if time folded in on itself, the past bleeding into the present. You felt a pulse of relief, the kind that makes your chest tighten with hope, and the fragile belief that maybe, just maybe, you were about to unravel the mystery that had clawed at your sanity. The memory glitch you'd struggled to dismiss, the strange disappearances, the voices from the dead, all seemed to align into a coherent narrative, a story with a beginning and a grim but comprehensible end. But then, just as the pieces began to settle, the floor dropped beneath you. A detail, small, almost laughably insignificant, pulled apart everything you thought you understood. The voice on the tape, clear and urgent as it was, wasn't the boy's. It wasn't even a child's voice. It was a woman's, but not just any woman. It was your mother's voice warning someone else decades ago. And the name she whispered, Amara, was the same name from that chilling phone call, the whisper that had never fit into any puzzle until now. The ground beneath your feet shifted. This wasn't just a random echo of a forgotten event. This was something far more personal, far more dangerous. You couldn't escape the creeping sensation that the nightmare you were chasing had always been your own, hidden beneath layers of family secrets and fractured memories you'd buried deep to survive. The same meal, the same warning, the same frozen fear. Only now the lines between your past and the present blurred so completely, they twisted into each other like a reflection in broken glass. You recalled, with a jolt, a childhood memory you had long repressed. A night when the lights flickered, a shadow moved just beyond the doorway, and a whispered warning came from your mother's lips. A warning you didn't understand then, but that now echoed with terrible clarity. The way your parents suddenly disappeared afterward, the silence that swallowed your home, the stories no one told. The memory was fractured like a glitch in the system of your mind, but it was there, etched into the darkest corners you'd tried not to see. And as this revelation settled like ice in your veins, you became painfully aware of a presence, something ancient and silent that had been watching all along, waiting in the spaces between your memories. In the spaces between every warning and every scream. It wasn't something you could name or confront directly. It was a force that invaded your mind like a slow creeping shadow, pulling your fears and doubts into a tightening spiral. It wasn't outside you. It was inside, personal and inescapable. You realize now that every moment, every glimpse, every whisper you've witnessed must be seen again. This story, your story, because the truth isn't what you thought. You're not crazy. They lied to you. The mystery you believed you uncovered was just another layer of the maze. And somewhere, just beyond the edge of understanding, the real darkness waits, patient and hungry. As you pull back the veil for a second look, a cold whisper brushes against your skin. Something you missed the first time. Something that will make you question everything all over again. You think you're alone in this unraveling, but you're not. There are others, scattered like ghosts in the fog, moving silently through the cracks of reality, watching this story spiral out of control just as you are. They're not strangers. They are fractured reflections of the same nightmare, echoes caught in the same trap of hidden truth and fractured memory. They don't reach out in ways you'd expect. Instead, their messages arrive like static on a forgotten frequency, coded in fleeting symbols slipped into the background of your life. A faded drawing on a wall, a number scrawled on a crumpled receipt, a recurring dream that blurs the line between sleep and waking. You catch these fragments and suddenly the weight shifts. You're not just a witness anymore. You're a participant in something vast and chilling, a conspiracy stitched into the very fabric of your existence. In the quiet spaces between your thoughts, cryptic messages pulse, brief glitching transmissions from others who share your fracture, your dread. There are emails with no sender, old photographs that shift when you look away, found footage from 20 years ago hidden beneath layers of internet detritus, footage that wasn't supposed to exist, footage the government never released. You can almost hear the whispers beneath the static, a call only your mind seems tuned to catch. And as you piece these signals together, the world tilts again, revealing a vast network of unseen watchers and silent victims who have been pulled into this story long before you ever glimpse the boy's scream. A third voice emerges from the shadows, an observer, or maybe a watcher, who speaks with an unsettling clarity that cuts through the fog. This person claims no allegiance, no stake in the usual games of power or control. They say you were right all along, that everything you doubted, everything you feared was true, but twisted and hidden beneath layers so deep it's nearly impossible to grasp. They speak of identity as something fluid, a shape-shifting mask, controlled by forces you cannot see but feel in every moment of hesitation, every forgotten name, every false memory. They warn that memory is a battleground and control is the prize. The question is no longer what happened, but who you are when the memories you trust are stripped away, when the very essence of yourself is rewritten like a script you never consented to read. There is no comfort here, only the slow, sinking dread of knowing that you are part of a larger design, a pattern that has watched, waited, and whispered in the dark since before you were born. The boy's warning, the vanished billionaire, the fractured voices from the past, all threads woven into a tapestry too complex to fully unravel, held together by something that moves like a shadow across your mind. You can feel it watching, always just beyond the edge of sight, waiting to pull the story deeper into its grasp. And now, as you reach out into the darkness, as you strain to find the truth hidden beneath layers of silence and deception, you realize the story is not finished. It's only just beginning to bleed into your world, into your very being. The pieces you thought you understood scatter once more, leaving behind a charged silence filled with questions no one has dared to ask. You are part of this. You were never outside it. The watchers are here, and the truth, as elusive and terrifying as it is, waits for you to step closer, to see what no one else can. The story you thought you knew was only a glimpse of something far greater, something still unfolding in the shadows where memory falters, where identity slips away, and where control is the only prize worth fighting for. The ending is nowhere near. It waits for you in the silence that follows, a breath held just beyond the screen, waiting for you to listen again. The moment comes like a slow crack through your soul, a fracture so deep it threatens to undo everything you thought you were. It's no longer about what happened, the shattered timelines, the vanished people, the cryptic warnings whispered in static, but why it happened, why this darkness has nested itself inside you, inside all of us. It's a question you can't escape, and the answer isn't comfort or clarity. It's raw, terrifying, and profoundly human. Because maybe this isn't a story about some external force trying to control or consume us. Maybe it's about the things we carry inside, the fears we refuse to name, the memories we bury too deep, the parts of ourselves we deny until they erupt in silence or scream. You stand on the edge of understanding, trembling because what you're about to uncover could destroy you or set you free. The weight of it presses in on your chest as Evelyn's voice, fractured and trembling, breaks the unbearable silence. She confesses, not as a villain or savior, but as a person broken by the same darkness, the same hidden history. I tried to forget, she admits, voice raw with the ache of years. I thought if I buried it deep enough it would stop haunting me, but it never does. It lives inside us, the fear, the silence, and sometimes it chooses who it will break. Her confession shatters the last defenses you have, and you realize that the mystery isn't about uncovering an external evil, but facing the fragile, haunted places inside yourself. The places where hope and despair blur, where identity slips and memory falters. It's a terrifying awakening to the truth that the greatest unknown isn't out there in the shadows, but in the shadows inside your own mind and heart. And now you must choose. Do you let this truth consume you? Let it tear apart the reality you cling to? Or do you let it transform you? Accept the fracture as part of what it means to be alive. There is no easy answer, No clean resolution. Just the painful, beautiful weight of knowing that the story you've lived through is still unfolding, that your awakening is only the beginning. The city hums around you, indifferent and alive, as your vision sharpens and blurs all at once, like waking from a dream you never knew you were in. The boy's warning, the vanished billionaire, the whispered name, all part of a deeper pattern, a call to look beneath the surface, to listen to the silence we so often ignore. And as the screen fades to black, a final line lingers like a whisper you can't shake, haunting and poetic, a promise and a warning. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for stories you were never meant to hear. Until next time, remember, some truths don't want to be found.